it seems like almost all these socialists is winning their primaries, and now you got another one, a man that don't like America, who pretty much said that America deserved 9/11. His name is Abdul El Sayed. Pretty much just won the Michigan primary. Like, this right here is insane. Of all these socialists, all these communist people who don't like America is continuing to win, and they getting backed by Bernie Sanders. And now you got a lot of Democrat voters saying they ain't even voting for Democrats. In the midterm, none of that. They all leaning toward Republicans. Now, I'm about to show y'all this, because this right here is insane. Even J.D. Vance spoke on it. President Trump spoke on it. So I got a good bit to show y'all today. And before we get into that, President Trump finally broke his silence, on the guy that was camping out, with a rifle and radios and stuff like that, was waiting on President Trump's plane to land in California. Thank God they got that guy, who was heavily armed before President Trump got there. So President Trump finally broke his silence on that, and we do have the mugshot of the guy that got caught. So like I said, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, shout out to everybody showing so much support, and shout out to the ones always watching the entire video. I appreciate all of you. Thank y'all so much. And let's go ahead and dive straight into this, man. So you can see right here, say Trump breaks silence on potential foiled assassination plot at his golf club by a man named Janine, which kind of threw me off because I never heard of a man that's named Janine. So here go President Trump speaking on it.
There was a threat. There was a man who was arrested, seemed to be heavily armed near the property here on Sunday. It's an ongoing concern, sir. Talk about that for briefly, if we can.
Well, the only thing I get a little solace from is they say only consequential presidents. And I am definitely consequential. I mean, if you look at the economy, if you look at what's happening, Iran, as an example, will never have a nuclear weapon. They already can't, but it's going to be formal. The strait's going to be open very soon, or they're going to get hit very hard, and then the strait's going to be open. And we were going to a tremendous attack, the biggest since World War II. And they called me and said, very politely, please, can we talk? Can we talk? They didn't want. And I said, yes, we can talk. Let's get it done. Finally, let's get it done. This should have been done by other presidents for 50 years. You keep hearing 47, but that's been for 3 years now. It's been over 50 years. Other presidents or other countries should have been able to do this. And I did something that I had to do, because if they had a nuclear weapon, this whole world would be a different place.
If they back out again, are they done?
Well, if they back out again, they're going to get hit really hard. They know that. They understand that. I have no choice. They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. It's not like, gee, let's, think about something else. No, it should have been done by many presidents over many years, and it wasn't. And I'm doing it. Obama was taken to the cleaners. He thought he could bribe his way out. He gave them billions, tens of billions of dollars, so stupidly. 1.7 billion in cash, green cash, on a Boeing 757, an airplane loaded up with cash. They probably looked at it. They said, you got to be kidding. No, you can't bribe your way out. All you can do is fight your way out. And if they didn't, they wouldn't be talking if we weren't doing what we're doing. We hit them very, very hard, but the hard hit is yet to come, and hopefully we won't have to use it. I hope we won't have to. We're having very good discussions. They don't like to admit that, but it's a little bit disconcerting. You tell people like you, we're having wonderful discussions, and then some guy will come out of Iran and say, we have not met, we have not. It's just such a lie. All day long, you understand. It's just incredible. We didn't talk. They'll say, we didn't talk about nuclear. Well, what do we talk about? We're sitting there twiddling our thumbs, right? So, but it doesn't matter. That's talk. The only thing that matters is action, and they want to make a deal. We'll see what happens.
So you see President Trump was talking about Iran, talking about like the guy that got caught that was camping out his golf course. I definitely wanted to show y'all this. And Benny Johnson put update mugshot of the heavily armed possible assassin at Trump National Golf Club released, along with a photo of one of his firearms. And this is the guy right here who got caught. You can see he had this rifle right here. And they said that his name is Janine John Tail, was detained after being seen taking photos and video of security planning activities ahead of President Trump's visit to the golf club today. LASD deputies found ammunition in Tail's pocket, searched his vehicle, and seized a loaded pistol with a round chambered and a loaded magazine. A search of Tail's residence seized high-power firearms, ammunition, body armor, and a notebook. So this right here, so thank God they got this guy, because like I said, he's a 38 years old, was arrested Sunday with a cache of weapons and body armor. Like I said, outside waiting on President Trump. So like I said, once again, thank God for that. I told y'all I'm going to let y'all know the next video, the update on that. So they got the guy. This is his mug shot. And that's another criminal off the street. So let's go ahead and dive straight into this right here. Say, wow, Republicans just dropped this brutal ad against Michigan Senate candidate Abdul El-Sayed. And like I said, this guy is bagged by Bernie Sanders and all of these people. And now they just dropped an ad on him. And you can see what President Trump posted. He said, great news for the Republican Party. El-Sayed, a communist loser who hates Jews and Israel, is the projected winner in his race with the Socialists. As usual, the polls were way off on this one. She was not expected to do nearly as well as she did. Now the Democrats' crazy policies will only get worse.
Abdul-Rahman Muhammad El-Sayed, the most radical Senate candidate in America.
Pretty dangerous.
El-Sayed pledged support for the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, a designated foreign terrorist group. He wants to hike taxes on Michigan waitresses, delivery drivers, and seniors on Social Security.
Wow, he want to hike on waitresses? What? Let's take that back.
El-Sayed, the most radical Senate candidate in America.
Pretty dangerous.
El-Sayed pledged support for the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, a designated foreign terrorist group. He wants to hike taxes on Michigan waitresses, delivery drivers, and seniors on Social Security. He joined a sex offender and a murderer to demand the mass release of dangerous prisoners. And when his ally claimed America deserved 9/11,
America deserved 9/11, dude.
El-Sayed refused to disavow it.
I'm not here to disavow people's views.
Abdul El-Sayed, too radical, too dangerous, wrong for Michigan.
The allies are launching is already more bitter. All you got to do is look at the odds. You're already watching on TV, started today. You know, they think that you want to use my whole name against me. Mike, listen, man, if you can't say the name, it's Abdurrahman, keep the name out your damn mouth.
Wow. Look how he's talking already.
But they understand that the only way that they think they can win is to drag us into the mud, to believe the worst about each other.
If you woke up this morning thinking we're still California because Wayne County still doesn't have their vote count in, you may be right. Our election system here in Michigan is broken. We're going to do a lot of work between now and November to help get that thing at least back in some semblance of order. First of all, think about it. He just came out a few minutes ago and said that he won the race, so he's declaring victory. This is really about the heart and soul of our country. I have never seen someone so radical, so extreme, get nominated by a political party, and the DSA candidates in the state in 2 different congressional races look like they're pulling it off as well. The Democrat Party is lost to this hardcore socialist attitude.
Yep.
And listen, I fought terrorism my whole life. I was an FBI special agent, U.S. Army officer, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. I find it shocking that I'm going to go up against a guy who believes America deserved 9/11. That's why this race is so important, Lawrence.
Yeah.
Wow. And like I said, this guy said that America deserved 9/11, and he just got elected in Michigan, which he got to go up against Mike Rogers, who's backed by President Trump. So hopefully, let's hope Mike Rogers win, because like I said, it's getting out of hand.
The communists will take us 100%. When I watch Abdul, he's full of shit. This could only happen to me. Abdul El-Sayed, lovely gentleman. He's a man of hate. And now he's going around saying, no, I love everybody. He doesn't love everybody. Put him in office. You're going to find out what he loves. He doesn't love Israel. He doesn't love Jewish people. He hates them. He hates them with a passion that burns in his heart, and there's not a frickin' thing he can do about it. There's not a thing he can do about it, because he hates them. And in Michigan, it was really very close. There's press, the polls, and the polls by the press. Oftentimes, the press hires the polls. They want to have it a certain way. But
how does that work?
Well, the way that it works, and this is exactly what El-Sayed and these limousine socialists are actually selling to the American people. They're not promising you industry. They're not promising you good jobs. They're not promising self-sufficiency and a good industrial economy. What they're promising is redistribution. Again, we've seen this in Europe and in the United States. The idea that you can build real prosperity by just redistributing assets from one group to another group, that's not how you build real prosperity. You have to actually sustain the foundation of the economy. That is what the President of the United States has worked us towards for the past 18 months. It's going to continue to pay dividends. But I think, again, Laura, this is an important point. A lot of Americans look at this rising tide of socialism and say, how did we get here? We got here by 40 years of bipartisan leaders selling our industrial base to foreign countries, allowing low-wage immigrants to come in and compete with Americans for jobs, by destroying the foundation of the middle class. That's how you got socialism. How you fix that problem is by doubling down on Donald Trump's economic nationalism, not going back to the way we've done things for the past 40 years.
It's failed everywhere it's tried.
It's failed everywhere it's tried, and it always leads to socialism. It always leads exactly where we are. The only way to get out of it is to double down on the economics of the past 18 months.
And look at this. Look at Bernie Sanders right here. He's supporting all of these socialists who want to take down America. Remember, they want to abolish prisons, abolish the presidency, abolish the Senate. They want to do all of this. They want to abolish prisons. They want to get rid of all of that. Showed y'all a candidate yesterday, the woman named Francesca Hung, and the things that she said. She want to get rid of Valentine's Day. She want to cancel Thanksgiving. She want to get rid of Christmas. They want to get rid of all of this stuff, and it's bagged by Bernie Sanders. Look at him. Congratulations to Will Learns, Donovan McKinney, and Dr. Abdul al-Said, the man that said that America deserved 9/11, and you got Bernie Sanders saying congratulations to him. Abdul took on the entire billionaire class, faced more than $60 million in spending against him, and won. Now let's beat Mike Rogers and take back the Senate. So Mike Rogers is now bagged by President Trump, and now you got Bernie Sanders want this guy who hate America, who said, you know, America deserved 9/11, and he want this guy to win and go to the Senate. This is freaking insane. It's official. Michigan Senate candidate Abdul el-Sayed, campaign ally Hassan Piker, is now calling Democrat voters Islamophobic pieces of crap if they refuse to back him in the primary. Amazing strategy, Democrats. This is crazy. Now listen to what Hassan Piker said.
One being like, Abdullah's a ton of work to do mending bridges. Here's the take nuke for you, okay? You are all unbelievably Islamophobic pieces of shit, okay? You literally called the dude a terrorist for months on end and like called him a sexist, misogynist, terrorist, bad candidate, fake doctor when he has like 2 degrees. And now you're gonna sit there and be like, well, you know, you really gotta come to me now. Like, what are you talking about? Do you wanna win or not? Lock the, okay? Lock the. And I do worry that there are some out there who, in an effort to make sure that this narrative that a progressive can win in a state like Michigan doesn't take root, will literally either subtly or be.
Now, y'all heard what James Carville said yesterday. He said he don't even want to be in the same party as Hassan Piker. So now you see this, like these socialists, they just starting to take over the Democrat Party. That's what it sounds like. The witness just exposed that Michigan Senate candidate Abdul Saeed is connected to terrorists and the Muslim Brotherhood.
Abdul el-Sayed's candidacy for senator in Michigan concern you?
Yes, sir, it does.
Why is that?
Well, to begin with, I look at the connections that his father-in-law, Chakaku Tayyib, has to Brotherhood-linked groups. This includes being the president at one time of CARE Michigan, also his presence on the Islamic Society of North America Founders Committee, which is only for those most exclusively devoted to ISNA and provide a significant amount of funding. There are other known Brotherhood members on that committee. I would also look at el-Sayed's ties to a group called Mgage, which purports to be a
connected to a terrorist group,
Get Out the Vote or candidate recruitment organization, but it has close ties to CARE. It was created by a former CARE member who at one time was on a terror watch list and was also a consultant to convicted terrorist Samuel Arian.
Do you believe the Islamic Society of North America, or ISNA, is an ongoing part of the Muslim Brotherhood network in the United States?
Yes, sir, I do. There were some HLF documents that reflected hesitation by the Brotherhood that they thought perhaps they were losing.
Wow. So it's like we're starting to find out more and more stuff about old Abdul el-Sayed. It say Senator Jim Banks demolishes Abdul el-Sayed after he barely wins the Michigan primary.
Factory workers that live in that state that don't want to vote for a guy like Abdul Rahman el-Sayed, who wants to take away their gun rights. He wants to codify Roe v. Wade and overturn the Dobbs decision. He wants to abolish ICE. And a lot of the working class families in Michigan, just like in Indiana and around the country, these families just want to keep these men and women just want to keep their families safe. And El Sayed wants to abolish ICE and allow the drug cartel gangs to take over the streets of cities in Michigan. You look at the extreme positions that El Sayed has staked out, and if he would happen to win in November, he would be the most extreme Democrat, radical United States senator that we've ever had. He would make Bernie Sanders look squishy with the positions that he's staked out. And already this morning, he's trying to moderate and change his tune, but look at what he said throughout the campaign. His rhetoric is dangerous, his policies, his positions are extreme and dangerous. And I have never felt better, up to this point, I have never felt better about Republicans keeping, if not growing, the majority in the United States Senate than how I feel today after watching El Sayed win this Michigan Democrat primary.
This is crazy. He want Medicare for all, abolish ICE, Supreme Court refund, billionaires tax, arm embargo of Israel. Capitalism supports it but wants regulation, housing, affording housing. Ah, boy. There you go again. Abdul is being ripped for lying through his teeth by dropping this message, pretty much talking about to his Jewish American sisters and brothers. When we find out that he don't even like he don't even like Jewish people, just like Mundunny don't, and like all the socialists don't, and now he's up here lying because he want to win, and that's what they all do. They lie to get in position.
To my Jewish American sisters and brothers, one of the most indelible memories of this campaign will have been the opportunity to break bread with you at Seder, to worship with you at Shul, to be embraced by you. And listening to sisters and brothers who said, I want to join this movement because AIPAC doesn't speak for me. Because I understand that self-determination for one people does not require the quenching of self-determination for another people. That unless all of us are free, none of us are free. I want to tell you the great gift that you've given me. And to all of my sisters and brothers of the Jewish faith, or any faith at all, or no faith at all, I want you to know that my commitment to your safety, my commitment to Jewish safety, is the same commitment that I have to the safety of my own daughters. Because if there is one question of a political philosophy that ought to animate us all, is what would we build, what would we do if we treated all of our kids like they were all of our kids? How would we spend our money? Where would we put our investment? How would we embrace one another? What kind of schools would we build? What kind of healthcare would we offer?
So he's sitting up here just telling a bald-faced lie, because we know how they feel about Jewish people. But like I said before, this is what they all do, is that they're going to lie to get voted in. That's just what it is. And J.D. Vance said it perfectly. We don't want the next administration. God forbid you're going to have President El Sayed in 3 years.
Are working with us. We don't want the next administration, whoever, God forbid, you're going to have President El Sayed in 3 years. We don't want him to undo all the incredible work that we've been doing when we've been taking out the fraudsters and saving the American people money. And in order to make this really work, we need our colleagues in Congress to really codify some of this stuff, to make sure that it becomes law. And again, this is the sort of thing where, while I see only Republicans surrounding us.
Yeah, but J.D. Vance didn't stop there. So J.D. Vance, Mike drops Abdul El Sayed and the communist Democrats as well.
The base of the Democratic Party just wants radicals. It wants these DSA types. It wants people who hate even the idea of private property ownership. But it also, I think, tells us that that particular set of ideas is very popular in places you wouldn't expect, because Al Sayed, he's this guy who holds himself out as a working class hero, as a guy who's going to fight for the working class. How does he fight for the working class? By flooding his state and his country with low-wage immigrants. Of course, those people will drive down the wages of the working class. And he also doesn't want to do anything to protect the Michigan auto industry. He has fought against the Trump tariffs that have saved the Michigan auto industry.
At the end of the day, nearly half of Democrats still rejected El Sayed's platform. And that may not have mattered in the primary, but it sure might when it comes to the general.
So, like I said, though, they are panicking. Now you even got Democrat voters in Michigan who are jumping ship saying they would not vote for Abdul El Sayed, a socialist, And a lot of them pretty much saying now that they going to switch over, because remember, like I said, James Carville said he's not going to be in the same party now. Do we want James Carville? No. But, I mean, James Carville said he's not going to be in the same party as Hassan Piker. And you see what Hassan Piker is pushing. And now it's bagged by Bernie Sanders. We seen what John Fetterman came out against this crap. And you got, like I said, Bernie Sanders is the one who's sticking up with him. But look at this. You got voters saying that they ain't dealing with it.
If Syed wins, I will not vote Democrat. I'll switch over, and I'll vote for a candidate with character, whoever that might be.
I expect Haley to prevail. And I'm very anxious about the socialist aspect of what Abdul and his supporters represent. I'm a liberal, but I'm not a socialist.
This man said he's a liberal, but he's not a socialist. So now, like I said, you got a lot of these people now saying that they just not going to vote for the Democrats. And I showed y'all this earlier. Say, what the crap? Michigan U.S. Senator candidate Abdul said, if you can't say my name, Abdurrahman, keep the name out of your. You know he's cussing. I'll be happy to give you lessons. He's bringing the third world to America and gloating about it. Vote for Trump endorsed Mike Rogers. You're going to have to. I mean, people got to put their difference to the side. They hate President Trump so much, no matter who he endorsed, they don't even want to support that person just because it's backed by President Trump. But, I mean, you can't allow this guy like this in the Senate. Yeah, I mean, you just can't.
The allies are launching is already more bitter. All you got to do is look at the odds. You're already watching on TV. Started today. You know, they think they want to use my whole name against me. Mike, listen, man, if you can't say the name, it's Abdurrahman, keep the name out your damn mouth. I'll be happy to give you lessons.
He said, I'll be happy to give you lessons. I'll be happy to give you lessons. So now you got him, you got Francesca Hung, running in Wisconsin. I mean, these people are showing up everywhere, and they all got the same agenda. They all got the same agenda. Now you even got John Fetterman ripping Bernie Sanders and the communists at the Abdul primary win puts Michigan Senate in play for Republicans.
Georgia, in Texas, we have great ones. But, I have a real problem with people that are proud to campaign people that loved Hamas or that they love communist kinds of regime and under those kinds of policies overall. And that's why I'm saying objectively as a Democrat in the Senate saying that puts that seat in danger. And now that could, and now people like Sanders, after what he's done in Maine with Plattner, and now it's like it's creating more kinds of chaos. And now it's like, will you own the blowback and making it much more difficult to defend this seat?
Bernie Sanders just done lost it. He already trumped the range. And like I said, he just done lost it. But like I said, it continues from there. And now you got Senator Katie Britt say it's time to wake up and vote red after Muslim Socialist wins the Senate primary.
Over the next 90 days, are they not?
Look, Bill, this is a sad day for America. I mean, the fact that this man could win an election is absolutely unbelievable. We know that this Democratic Socialist of America movement has shown us that they do nothing but hate America. We saw them actually on your very network talking about all of the things they wanted to see. No ICE. They wanted to see no police. They wanted to essentially do away with the government. No jails. All of these kinds of things. But you have to, let's connect the first conversation we had to this one. And when it comes to Iran and it comes to what's happening, he is actually a jihadist sympathizer. We saw him just 2 days ago, El Sayed, at a pool party with Hassan Piker, who said that America deserved 9/11.
Yep.
These are not people who stand with us and for our values, and they're infiltrating from within. We have to make sure to stand firmly and say we love this country, we want to fight for the citizens of this country, and we want to make sure that there's peace and prosperity here and across the globe.
Okay, quickly. This is not a blue dot. This is a purple state. This is the Midwest. This is Michigan. What does that tell you about where the energy is in the party?
That tells me that the Democratic Socialists have taken over the Democratic Party, and we have to stand up to it and stand firmly.
Yep, the Democrat Socialists have took over the Democrat Party. Now they are in shambles, and you see the reason why Fetterman don't want nothing to do with it. And let's check this out, too.
If you woke up this morning thinking we're still California because Wayne County still doesn't have their vote count in, you may be right. Our election system here in Michigan is broken. We're going to do a lot of work between now and November to help get that thing at least back in some semblance of order. First of all, think about it. He just came out a few minutes ago and said that he won the race, so he's declaring victory. This is really about the heart and soul of our country. I have never seen someone so radical, so extreme, get nominated by a political party. And the DSA candidates in the state in 2 different congressional races look like they're pulling it off as well. The Democrat Party is lost to this hardcore socialist attitude. And listen, I fought terrorism my whole life. I was an FBI special agent, U.S. Army officer, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. I find it shocking that I'm going to go up against a guy who believes America deserved 9/11. That's why this race is so important, Lawrence.
Yeah, he was with Hassan Piker, who had that viewpoint. You know, he may have that viewpoint, but he's very slick. And there's a lot of people that find his message inspirational, even though it's anti-American.
Exactly. Just crazy, man, when you just listen to this stuff. Now, last clip I want to show y'all, you can see even MS Now is now panicking after Democrat voters told her they're voting Mike Rogers because Abdul El-Sayed became the Senate nominee. So now, like I said before, where I just showed a few minutes ago, now you got Democrats who saying they're not even going to vote for the Democrats because of this.
Who won in this primary race. Republicans now see that as more winnable. This is the candidate they wanted. They're going to throw a ton of money at this to try to flip this seat. So I think people who are looking at this, particularly some Democrats who I've talked to, who are hoping that he will moderate some of his positions. I think one of the key ones to point to that he is not going to, you just heard him talking about Israel. And I want to tell you really quickly, as I was getting on the plane this morning, a guy who was a big fan of MS Now said to me, I'm anxious to see who wins. And I said, oh, did you vote? And he said, yes, I voted for Haley Stevens. And I said, oh, why? And he said, well, because of Israel. And I don't like the position that Abdul El-Sayed has on Israel. And in fact, if he wins, I will be voting for Mike Rogers. And you could not get more far apart, right, from two candidates than Mike Rogers and even Haley Stevens. But it's going to be interesting to listen to that because this has been a primary conversation within this campaign. A campaign, though, that they clearly are celebrating. They have won. But let's be clear, while this is a...
So, wow. Now you see MS Now is now panicking. So... there you go right there. And now, like I said, I showed y'all a video yesterday of the woman in Wisconsin, Francesca Hong, another person who got on camera and lied. The same woman that said she want to get rid of Valentine's Day. She want to cancel Thanksgiving. She don't want any holiday. She want to get rid of all of that. She want to abolish prisons, the presidency, the Senate. That's what they want to do, all of that. These people literally want to destroy America. And it just seemed like these DSA socialists, like these socialists, they are starting to just win and take over the Democrat Party. You even seen Chuck Schumer bow the knee to him, talking about they just one big old tent. So it seems like Chuck Schumer's and Bernie Sanders is enjoying themselves, but it's funny that these DSA already said that they want to replace Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. So like I said, at the end of the day, this right here is insane. So now, like the Republicans gonna have to put a stop to this. There's no way we can let these people get into the Senate, especially with what they believe in. So once again, thank you all for watching. I will keep y'all up to date as more information comes out. Once again, thank you all for watching and staying to the very end, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.